It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Expresso. The reason why I'm doing this, I was told because of moral support. Now we're chatting about, it's okay.
Who needs it more,
Pets.
you or me?
So sometimes, okay, these pets, they could be on 4 legs, they could be on 8 legs, they could have fur. But what about scales? What about beautiful scales? Meet Mbali Mtshali, okay? Now, who's the new co-host of Snakes in the City. She is a snake wrangler who has broken cultural and social barriers by facing some of the world's deadliest snakes live on screen and finding herself in some of the most bizarre situations and releasing them back into the wild. Just saying. How are you feeling?
Yeah, my blood is cold. I've got, I don't know, goosebumps. But she joins us this morning, okay, to take us through her journey with these reptiles and to share some knowledge with us on some of these magnificent creatures that most people really do love. And if you have a question for Mbali, you'd like to share a story about an encounter that you've had with a snake, that's what we're talking about today. Please send us a WhatsApp voice note. We want to hear from you. 063 408 8863 Mbali.
Yay! How are you doing?
Hey.
Welcome to Express.
Thank you so much for having me. Is this the excitement for having us, or is it the excitement for...
Oh, look at that one.
Who's this?
That's moving on the couch.
Guys.
Just keep it there by you.
Don't stress. This one cannot actually see clearly at the moment. This is Jason, by the way.
Is that Jason?
Yes, and Jason is a ball python. Actually, this is the first snake that I got to be like quite close and personal with. The reason why he cannot see clearly at the moment is because he is in the blue, which is a term that we use when snakes are about to actually change their skins. We say they shed it off, which is a sign that they are actually getting bigger.
Yeah. Do they sometimes... Sorry, yes.
Yeah, no, continue.
I mean, watching Jason go almost behind the cushions there, I often wonder, do you sometimes, like, get surprised by where they hide in your house and you, like, find them in your shoes, maybe?
I've never actually found a snake in any of my shoes, but I've, however, found a snake beneath some of my towels, which was a very happy sight for my mom, I must say. But thankfully, you know, if you love an animal, it doesn't matter if it's got legs or if it's a slithery one. I think it goes hand in hand with actually learning some of their behaviors, which then becomes handy when you encounter one unannounced. So when I saw that snake, from like the first glance, I could say, it's just a harmless common brown house snake. And I had to convince my mom that she didn't have to like scream that loud.
Are you sure? Because
would you like to hold that?
You can sit there on that couch.
You need help. I just wanted to.
Paul, you can go sit there.
Tom, just please. I just wanted to.
Just don't squeeze it, because I know in most cases when people are about to touch or handle a snake, in their heads, they always quick
I actually wanted to go sit back in my chair.
You can give it
I
back.
don't mind.
Thank you so much.
Carl, you cannot do that.
You don't
God, what's wrong with you?
Anyway, so you were saying, sorry. Okay, I want to ask you, part of a television show that is all about snakes in the city, and I just wanted to ask about the TV show. These beautiful creatures that you are going to be sharing a screen with, like, what's that all about?
So first and foremost, I have to say Snakes in the City on National Geographic World is such an amazing platform. Not because I'm on the show now myself, but I grew up watching stuff that ever gets aired on Nat Geo. And what I actually like about the show is it's so real. It's all about celebrating people's interests and not just focusing on an individual, but using that person to help others relate and see themselves through other people's interests. So I've always wanted to, you know, do conservation through a much bigger platform and one that is actually reputable. And I don't think it would have gotten any better than being featured on Nat Geo.
That is so huge. And I mean, when it comes to snakes, a lot of people have, and especially on a cultural level, there are many misconceptions. And I wanted you to unpack that for a second, because these animals, they are placid, they're beautiful. And of course, you know, when you are in their environment, those are the times we have to be extra sensitive with their feelings and emotions. Now, let's talk about culturally, when it comes to snakes, you know, obviously some people, they don't understand their nuances, they don't understand what their deeper meanings are. So talk me through that.
So for starters, I was also very petrified of snakes. I have to disclose that. I couldn't even look at them. I just didn't care how pretty they were, and you couldn't actually quite convince me. And that's because my granny, for starters, was the person who taught me anything and everything about animals that we kept on finding in our space.
Yeah.
But if there's any good she's ever done about teaching me about snakes was that I keep my distance. Okay.
Yeah.
Not from a respect point of view, but from the fact that culturally, in my culture, snakes are just seen as a sign of witchcraft. They are a bad omen. If you see them, like a spell has been casted on you.
Yes.
And brace yourself because it means you are going to die. Especially if you try to look at their eyes. Your eyes and the snakes should never connect. And that's just one of the myths that I find. That's just one of the myths that I find, I keep finding myself having to dispel. That snakes are like these gorgeous creatures. They've got such an amazing role to play in our ecosystem, one of which I don't see myself ever waking up one day volunteering to eat rats. But you find snakes taking care of rodents for us so that we are free from mites. How amazing.
These creatures are beautiful, and I think it must be... You have to actually... there's a snake in your hair there.
Yeah.
Is it wrapped around your hair?
No, it's sitting.
I just feel like if you're ever looking for a hairband, maybe you should try a snake. That'd be lovely. But look at that. That is gorgeous. But if you have any questions about snakes from Mbali, then I feel like let's just open this up. 063-40-88863. Let's talk about snakes. Let's talk about your misconceptions, some things that you heard about them. Let's dispel all of those rumors because these animals deserve to be respected. And that's why we're bringing them here along with Mbali on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Expresso.
I like that.
It's my Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It is Expresso here on S3. And these scaly, flexible, and cold-blooded reptiles are not always scary. Now, what do you do when you encounter a snake? I feel like it's important for us to get to that education. But before we get there, we've got a couple of WhatsApps coming through around snakes. Let's take a listen to a few of them for Mbali Mtshali, who is somebody who is part of Snakes in the City, an all-new show, really just dispelling some of those myths around these beautiful creatures. Let's listen to you for a second on 063-408-8863.
Hello, Mbali. I was wondering, what do you feed your snakes? Do you only feed them like mice, or do you feed them many more other foods?
Okay.
Okay, so I think for starters, you don't just wake up and like to decide what you feel like feeding your snake. You've got to be certain what species they are and what their feeding preferences are like. For example, if you're keeping like a Domero boa, their diet is quite, amazing because they do eat birds and they also eat rodents.
They eat birds?
Birds,
Okay.
yes. And occasionally you'll find them eating lizards as well. So they will actually assure you what they would prefer to feed opposed to what you feel like feeding them. And I strongly discourage for snake keepers to actually feed their snakes anything that's live. Because what happens if, for example, you've given your snake a live mice, and that mice is scared for its life because they know there's a snake around and that means they are dinner. And from fear, that mice happens to bite the snake through its lungs. That's going to be like the end of that snake's life.
Okay.
And already we don't have enough snakes in our nature.
Okay, let's not do that. I hope that helped as well. Thank you so much for your WhatsApp. Let's go on to the next one from Mbali.
Good morning to the Expresso team. I just have a question for Mbali. Mbali, how long have you had those snakes?
That's a very good question. It's been, can we get drum rolls? 10 years this year. So since 2012, it's been quite a journey.
Okay.
And I did disclose earlier, I was very scared of snakes. So if you are scared of snakes, I understand you and I can actually support you to get you over your fear.
I think many fears are just a lack of understanding. And that's why we're having this conversation with you, Mbali, because you know what? When you have more information, trust me, you are not going to be scared anymore. Let's get over to this next WhatsApp.
Hi, Mbali. Isn't it your snakes harmful to your visitors?
Okay, so when you have people over, are they harmful to your visitors? That was the question. Thanks a lot for asking that.
Okay, so obviously I feel any person should be keeping a snake that's not venomous for starters, and it must be a species that doesn't grow to be as big. For example, our Domero boa, they do not actually grow much further than 2 meters, and weight-wise, they don't actually exceed 10 kilograms. It's usually 9.1 kilograms that they get to. like with sharing that fact, I think already it's going to help you understand that if they can live for like 30 years, there's no ways that the snake is going to be extremely gigantic that you can no longer feel happy to even like pet them. So if you keep them in a safe spot, if you have somebody whom is petrified of snakes, I think for the snake's sake, just keep them away.
That's a very, very good, it's good advice. Now, next one I believe comes from Gail. What do you have to say?
I think Cole's actually pooping in his pants there. He's looking very brave.
Sorry? Didn't catch that? Just kissed the snake. Okay, I'm fine. The thing is, this is wonderful, and I think that, you know, the more calm you are around an animal that you are, let's just say if you are afraid of it, I think it's the better. But we do have one more voice note from Mbali. Let's take a listen to you.
Good morning, Expresso family. My question about snakes is, what do you do when you encounter one in your house? What do you do to protect yourself?
Well, this is something that Mbali and I were actually chatting about earlier, and I think it is a very, very important thing to kind of cover with you. So when it comes to, let's just say the snake is in the towels and you're getting out of the shower. Obviously, you know, the moisture in the showers, I think that's why they go to the towels, because of that warm, moist area. What's the best practice? I mean, to protect not only the humans, but also the snakes in the scenario.
Okay, so if you encounter a snake in your house, I think there isn't much that you've got to do, so you're very lucky. Just keep your distance, number one. Do not take your eyes off the snake. If you can, please just get like a good description of what snake it is. If you don't know them, obviously, because you're not going to know every snake by its name. What colors at least they've got. What were they doing? Were they on the ground? Did they even look like good climbers? And that's all you've got to do. Call a snake handler whilst you're keeping your eyes on the snake. They will just guide you through the phone, and once they get there, they'll remove it. Do not approach it, because sometimes a venomous snake may look like an unvenomous snake, and you don't want to find out the wrong way.
I think that's good when it comes to safety. I mean, while we respect the creatures as well, the respect also comes in from keeping that distance, keeping your eyes on the snake, and also calling the professionals, which is vitally important. Talking about professionals in Mbali, it has been a joy chatting to you. All the best for snakes in the city. I think you are doing such a great service to this species by making sure that all of those myths are busted and that people can start respecting these animals and not fearing them. So thank you very much for joining us today and for bringing these beautiful creatures. They are wonderful. I don't want to give this one back to you.
That means I get to keep you guys both.
Exactly. Yes. Imagine. Anyway, Tabiso ran away for some reason. Why? Where were you?